Heidi-ho, YouTubers. Was in a chat room with some of my good YouTube friends a while back, and when I mentioned an ice house, I was amazed to find that some of my friends didn't know what that was. I thought that maybe some folks here might not know that term either, particularly those of you who might be younger. So I thought I'd share it with you. You see, in the old days, right up into the 1930s in rural areas, refrigeration wasn't available to most people. The first fridges were too expensive for average folks, $714 in 1922. A Model T Ford was only $415. Those early refrigeration units also contained incredibly poisonous and very lethal gases. GE produced the first commercially viable fridge in 1927 with Freon gas, which was way safer to have in your home. When electricity finally became available to all areas of the U.S., with efforts such as the Tennessee Valley Authority, the modern refrigerator finally took off. Before that, down on the farm, a lot of folks used an ice house to keep things cool. The concept is really quite simple. An outbuilding was constructed and sometimes partially underground and facing north. During the coldest winter months, large blocks of ice were sawn from a nearby pond and transported to the ice house. They were stored in there and packed with large amounts of insulation, which was usually sawdust. There was often as much as a foot or two of sawdust packed around the ice. A properly constructed and provisioned ice house could keep ice available right through the summer, until cold weather returned in late fall. In the cities, entrepreneuring individuals built large industrial buildings designed just for storing huge amounts of ice. People had what was called an ice box in their kitchen. Unfortunately, I'm old enough to have seen an actual ice box. It was in a neighbor's garage when I was a youngster. The neighbor stored paint cans in it, but there it is in my memories, reminding me of the passage of time. Every few days, a man would come around with his horse and wagon from the commercial ice house and deliver a big block of ice to your home. Much like a permanent camping cooler, right there in your kitchen. Your ice box, with that big old block of winter ice in it, kept your food reasonably well cooled, even in the hottest days of summer.
As we face a very uncertain economic future, I've always thought it was a good idea to hope for the best, while at the same time planning and preparing for the absolute worst scenario we can think of. We don't expect our house to burn down tomorrow, but if it does, the consequences are horrific. That's why it's a good idea to take out some fire insurance. This idea of an ice house probably won't work for some of us in the deep south, but for many of us, it might be prudent to do some Googling and print off a few hard copies of some web pages to file away for future possible use, while at the same time filing the idea of an ice house in the back of our minds, just in case, for some insurance. We'll get through this.